Assalamualaikum and Hi, my name is Nurul Rafika binti Razuhi. My metric number is DE180085 and I'm from Group 4. So today, I want to present our assignment 1, which is we are required to select the industry that we can apply the industrial automation system. After that, we need to discuss about that industry and do some analysis about the sensor and actuator that used in the selected industry. So this is the link video for the selected industry that applying the industrial automation system. So you can click this link to see the selected industry by our group. Okay. So next about the company name, location, and department in the organization. Actually, the industry that we have selected is ready-made food production. The name of company is CP, which is Charo and Pok Fan in the Thai language. That means prosperity in foods. So this industry is PK Agro that was established in 1975 and is engaged in the production and marketing of fresh, frozen, and ready-to-eat chicken product of exceptional quality. Next, this local company operation in Senawang, Negeri Sembilan, that employ a result-oriented workforce and utilize only the most efficient farm to market rearing, processing, and distribution system available. So this is the organization in this ready-made food production industry. So the highest in this organization is board of director that has corporate governance committee, remuneration and nominating committee, corporate social responsibility and sustainable development committee, and others. Next is the executive committee that has two, which is risk management office, corporate compliance committee, and corporate compliance committee. Next is the chief executive officer that includes strategic planning office, corporate social responsibility and sustainable development office, management committee, investor relation and capital market office, and the last one is corporate communication and public relation office. So now is the type of sensor and actuator that used in the production process. So in this ready-made food production industry, for the sensor, it used proximity sensor, which is inductive and capacitive. The output is detect presence of bowl and operates the conveyor belt to lead for evaluation process to ensure the bowl is empty before fill the rice. Next is limit switch. The output is when bowl is detect the solenoid to operate to close and open the lid of bowl. The last one of sensor is retroreflective sensor, which is the output is to trigger the operation of flipping conveyor to flip the bowl. Therefore, also detect material to fill the rice with water and stir rice for washing process. Then for the actuator part, this industry use pneumatic actuator, linear actuator, and DC actuator. So next part is how the sensor and actuator listed play their role in this ready-made food production industry. So the inductive proximity sensor is detect metal target without contact using electromagnetic radiation. This inductive proximity sensor also sensing range varies by metal type and works in damp or unclean environment since it is non-metallic substance. Don't interfere with the detection. After that, the capacitive proximity sensor. The capacitive proximity sensor are devices that do not require physical contact and can detect the presence or absence of nearly any object. And then they make use of the electrical property of capacitance as well as the change in capacitance that occur as a result of a change in the electrical field that surround the active phase of the sensor. And then it sends the material to trigger the output conveyor. Next is the limit switch. The state of the electrical switch can be controlled or changed by the limit switch that using the mechanical movement of the actuator plunger. It is possible for analogous sensor such as inductive or capacitive proximity sensor as well as photoelectric sensor to achieve the same result without having physical touch with the item. The last one sensor is the retroreflective sensor, which is the interruption of a reflected light beam is used to detect object via retroreflective sensor, which is a type of photoelectric sensor. So actually in this picture, Mirror surface rejection is a function of a retroreflective photoelectric sensor that allows them to receive only the light that is reflected from the retro reflector. So this is accomplished by utilizing the characteristic of the polarizing filter that is built into the sensor as well as the characteristic of the reflector. So that's all from me. Next, I will pass to my friend to continue this presentation. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Lecture Najib. Okay, my name is Shami Rayhamna. I will present about the elevator actuator, which is okay for that. The pneumatic actuator is device that transfer the energy of compressed air or gas into the mechanical motion, known as pneumatic actuator. The device that transfer the energy of compressed air or gas into mechanical motion is known as pneumatic actuator. So that the common example of actuator include the electric motor, stepper motor, jet screw, electric muscular, simulator, and robots. So this kind of the actuator that they apply in this our system. So that's all. Okay, for the linear actuator, which is the linear actuator, is the device that takes the rotary motion of motor and converts it into a straight line movement. Unlike the existing motor, the linear actuator are meant to move forward and backward. So they can move and forward. So the linear actuator has less suboptimal requirement, is higher length, more efficiency, may be purchased at lower cost. That's for the linear actuator. Okay, for the DC actuator, is a device that transform the rotating motion of an AC direct current or DC direct current motor into linear motion. It is an electric linear actuator device, so it can facilitate both push and pull motion. This motion makes it possible to rise and lower the slide, alter the push or pull the object with a simple button press. So this for me for the this actuator. So I will pass to my friend for the datasheet presenting. So thank you for that's all for me.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Kwan bin Muhammad Sri and my metric number is BE1800088. So then next, the sensor and the actuator in terms of manufacturer and the technical specification or datasheet. So the first sensor is the inductive proximity sensor. So this is the inductive proximity sensor. So next, the characteristic for the sensor is this sensor is a differentiable, which is 1% to 15% of the real sensoring distance. So then degree of the protection, which is conforming to IEC, which is IP64, sorry, and IP67. So then the storage temperature range for this sensor is -14 degrees Celsius to 85 degrees Celsius, and operating temperature range is -25 derajat Celsius to 70 degrees of Celsius. So next, the material for this sensor is, for the case is nickel plate brace. For the remote control is PVT, and the pre-cable is the PVR, which is diameter 4.2 mm. So next, the indicator output state is a yellow green, and the supply on and the tap mode is a green LED. So rate supply voltage for the sensor is 12 volt to 24 volt with a protection against reverse polarity. So then the voltage limit including ripple for this sensor is 10 to 36 volt, and the switching capacitor is 100 milliampere, and the voltage drop and close state is 2 volt. So then next, capacitive proximity sensor. So this is the picture of capacitive proximity sensor. So the characteristic of the sensor is the sensor distance is 10 millimeter, which is 10%, and the sitting distance is 0 to 7.5 millimeter. The differential distance is 50% maximum sensing distance, and the sensing object is conductor and the dielectric. So then the response frequency for this sensor is 100 Hz, and the rate supply voltage is 12 volt DC to 24 volt DC. and the current consumption is 10 milliampere maximum, which is 24 volt DC. And control output is, first switching capacity is NPN open collector 100 milliampere maximum, and the residual voltage is 1.5 volt maximum under loop current of 100 milliampere with a cable length of 2 meter. So the indicator lamp is detection indicator, which is red LED. The weight approximately is 35 gram. So next is the limit switch. So for the limit switch is pre-travel, which is 1.2 millimeter, and over travel is 1.5 millimeter minimum, and the movement differential is 0.5 millimeter, and the free position is 16.5 millimeter. So next, for the reflective sensor, light source use LED. Light type is modulated visible red LED, which is 660 nm, and have a polarization filter. So angle deviation is 1 degree maximum, and diameter of the light spot is approximately 14 millimeter at the detection range 1 meter. So the angle of the divergence is 1.7 degree, and the ambient light limit is for 40,000 plus. And then the electrical specification, the operating voltage for this sensor is 10 to the 13 voltage DC, and the ripple maximum 10%, and no load supply current is negative 20 milliampere at 24 volt DC. Next, for the actuator, first pneumatic actuator. So advantage for the pneumatic actuator is integrated number interface. Next, fast cycle time and wide torque range from 8 Newton meter up to 814 Newton meter. So very good price performance ratio for the all type, easy assembly with various limit switch option, and thus low installation height. So this actuator is nominal torque, which is 4 Newton meter up to 1920 Newton meter. The peak torque is 8 Newton meter up to 3814 Newton meter. So the actuator connection is R1/8 with normal plate R1/4. So the control time for this actuator is 0.5 to 4 seconds. So the control angle for this actuator is 19 degree. The ambient temperature is -10 to 18 degrees Celsius. So the control medium for this actuator is neural and non-aggressive gas. Control with flux on request. So then the position indicator is optical integrated. Housing material for this actuator is aluminum hard anodized. And last, weight for this actuator is 2 kg to 34.40 kg. So next, the linear actuator, which is this actuator all aluminum frame and extension tube, and nominal stroke length for the actuator, which is we have 2 inch, 4 inch, 6 inch, 8 inch, 10 inch, and 12 inch. So the input voltage for the linear actuator is 12 volt DC and 24 volt DC. The standard gear ratio is 21. So the rate load range for this actuator is 34 pound to 224 ton, which is 1000 Newton. So the maximum state load is 562. So the maximum current draw is 3.2 amperes, which is 12 volt DC. So the maximum speed at the no load is 0.28 in second, which is 7 millimeter in second, to 1.73 inch per second, which is 43.9 millimeter per second. So this is the performance data for the different G ratio, maximum load, speed, and maximum load. So next, the DC actuator. Actually, DC actuator and the linear actuator is the same. So that's all from me and our group. Thank you.